It's fair to say that Destiny was a bit too successful to be written off as a simple proof of concept, but we hope the sequel makes it look like one all the same. These are the top 10 features we want in Destiny 2. Aside from the Sparrow, player-controlled vehicles in Destiny never really landed on solid ground. Their appearances were infrequent and lacking in variety, and their inclusion in PvP was divisive to say the least. We'd love to see Bungie explore the vehicular design space to a much greater extent in Destiny 2. Multi-crewed vehicles are well suited for Destiny's emphasis on team play, and vehicular inclusions in the odd raid encounter would provide an extra layer of tactical depth. For instance, what if two players in a massive tank had to fend off encroaching waves of elites while the rest of the raid battled a boss? Finally, vehicles in PvP are only fun if the player is expecting them, so continuing to designate which queues contain vehicles and keeping it consistent across all maps is a must. If orbit still has to exist in Destiny 2, we'd appreciate something to pass the time in the otherwise empty void of space. How about the ability to explore our ship's interior? The corridors of the ship might be lined with accumulated trophies, sentimental screenshots, and even old armor sets suspended in a fancy display. It's important to keep core functionality exclusive to conventional social hubs for population reasons, but innocuous time wasters like a shooting range or even limited vault access wouldn't go amiss on the ship. Taken to the extreme, multiple players could even unlock a massive clan vessel that provided a group-wide buff when used to launch into a raid. Destiny is one of a handful of games to have an active raiding community and consistent group content to boot. However, the metrics which drive friendly competition and quantify player contribution in the cooperative PvE of other games are mostly absent in Destiny, namely a DPS meter. Frustratingly, a screen showing damage dealt can be seen in-game, but only on some fights after a complete wipe, which means these stats are already being tracked, but aren't displayed in any meaningful way. A detailed raid report, accessible at any time, would allow players to understand which attempts are yielding which results and judge the viability of their build, in addition to keeping things competitive. Bungie is no stranger to empowering players with the tools to create their own content. Halo 3 may have popularized their level editor, but the Forge actually predates the Halo series, originally releasing alongside Marathon Infinity in 1996. Creating content faster than the speed at which players consume it in a game like Destiny is a challenge. So why not allow players to forge their own experiences in the interim? Whether designing competitive PvP maps or partaking in wacky ball sports, a Forge in Destiny 2 would give Guardians an extra reason to log on and goof around, no matter the occasion. Transmogrification, or making gear look like other gear, is a beloved system present in many other multiplayer RPGs. Its benefits are numerous and immediately apparent: a vastly increased sense of personalization, greater visual variance amongst player characters, and a reason to revisit outdated content in order to unlock weapon and armor appearances. The only sound argument against transmogrification is readability, or using visual cues to infer details about an opponent's strategy. But if the system is simply disabled in PvP, then Destiny 2 could reap all of the benefits of transmogrification with none of the drawbacks. Action RPGs have been around for a very long time, and looter shooters even go back a bit further than you might think. But both of these genres have experienced a windfall of innovative features in the last few years. One of the most wide-reaching in its implementation is the procedurally generated dungeon. Diablo 3, Path of Exile, Shadow Warrior 2, and The Division, just to name a few, all feature some variation of procedurally generated group PvE. Scrambling tile sets, enemy types, bosses, loot, and layering on a few challenge modifiers makes for one remarkably replayable game mode. While it had a good run, the original Destiny's expansions were a tad inconsistent in both their frequency and offerings. We would love to see Bungie establish a steady and predictable release cadence with their post-launch content in Destiny 2. And moreover, have a larger and more comprehensive roadmap for the months or even years ahead. As Cade 6 so eloquently disclosed in the Destiny 2 reveal trailer, the vault is gone.
So, everything is gone. Your stuff, my stuff, most importantly, my stuff.
We say good riddance. As far as inventory management goes, the vault was an unintuitive mess. Items couldn't be sorted or reordered without a companion app or third-party plugin, and space limitations were infuriating. Some progress like the additions of kiosks has been made since launch, but we still expect a fully revamped storage system in Destiny 2, replete with filters, customizable tabs, unlockable space, and drag-and-drop functionality. A truly open world is perhaps the most requested feature by the community for Destiny 2. Understandably, that's a pretty big ask, so if we can't have that, we'd settle for a sprawling endgame zone with abundant and replayable emergent content. A lot of the foundations for this type of area already exist, like public events and world bosses, but the incentives to partake in these activities after a certain point just don't currently exist. Enabling low-stakes PvP in the zone would be an easy way to ramp up replayability, and daily resets on open-world rewards would keep strike and PvP queues populated. Our #1 most desired feature for Destiny 2 was so sorely needed in the original that multiple third-party sites sprang into existence just to supply the demand. We're of course referring to LFG, or looking for group tools. LFG systems in other online RPGs allow players to create or find a group intended for content too specific or challenging for conventional matchmaking. Applicants enjoy the convenience of finding a group without navigating to the Xbox dashboard or a third-party site. And group leaders can ensure that their Fireteam will consist of communicative and appropriately geared players. This functionality is essential for community building and lowering the barrier for entry to endgame content. Hey everybody, James here. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I'd like to direct your attention to the Fireteam Chat YouTube channel. It's IGN's destination for all things Destiny and Destiny 2. There you can look forward to guide content, news updates, raid progression streams, and so much more. So for all things Destiny 2, head on over to Fireteam Chat.